And Shana Sissel now. The Wall Street Journal out with a piece today that really struck me. I like this one. Banks are unlikely to pay depositors more after the Fed lifts rates because the lenders don't actually need the money. Shana, that's amazing to me. That means there is so much liquidity out there. They don't need your savings account money to write loans, and they're not going to give you more for it. The savers have been penalized for the last, 12 years, and it's not going to get any better.
Absolutely. If you look at how much American deposits are in U.S. banks, we're up to $18 trillion. That's roughly $5 trillion more than we were in 2020. All this stimulus money has, forced all this excess cash and liquidity into the system, and people have put them in the bank. And so the banks don't have a lot of demand for loans and lending, so they don't really have a need for you to put more money in their deposits, and thus they don't have to pay you more in order to get your money.
It's really staggering when you think about it, Scott, because you have people investing in the stock market right now. That's where you're going to get the most return, right? And that's why we keep seeing this market march to new highs, even though it's been a little volatile lately. But when it comes down to it, then you've got people who are living on a fixed income, for example, who are, being more conservative with their investments. They'd like to see that savings rate go up, especially if the Fed is going to start hiking here. It's really almost torture when you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's torture when you think about a lot of things, especially savings rates. That's a personal story. But, you're right. If you're on a fixed income these days, and especially in January, using bonds, for example, you're getting crushed. So we've moved a lot of our clients out of bonds into some other alternatives that are paying really nice and actually have a variable rate on them. So as rates do go up, we do get some capture there. Sheena's right in some senses. Demand for loans is okay. It's going to start increasing once the economy maybe gets some footing, Jackie, as we talked about a little bit earlier. But think about this social experiment. Banks are probably never going to pay anybody a decent interest rate again. I think just because they haven't for so long. You mentioned 12 years. I mean, how long do you have to be beat over the head and told you don't deserve an interest rate on your deposits to where, guess what? We get used to it, and then people don't ask for it anymore, and it's gone in the wind. So therefore, the banks are in a great shape here as they get deposits, not pay anybody. There's nothing coming through there with respect to what they're going to pay you going forward.
Yeah, final thought to you, Shana, as we do talk about loans picking up, for example, the economy reopening, businesses maybe borrowing to restart or new businesses to start, people, continuing to go out and buy homes. A small interest rate hike isn't going to have a crazy chilling effect on the economy. But if the Fed moves forward 3-4 times, it could be a little different.
Yes, it definitely could. And I think the Fed is somewhat aware of that. But keep in mind, mortgage rates are so incredibly low. They could go all the way up to 5% on a 30-year, and it wouldn't make a substantial difference in the demand dynamics. So there is some room to grow there. There is some room to run. And I think that we should be cognizant of the fact that rising rates is not necessarily a bad thing. We've grown so used to this environment at zero interest rates.
Right.
I don't think there's a whole generation that doesn't understand that that's not normal.
Zero to save and zero to borrow.
Yeah, and as Scott just alluded to, you have an entire generation that never got paid on their savings accounts. So they have no expectation of ever getting paid on their savings accounts. And it's created this whole behavioral change, which I think is going to be here for quite some time. And that's to the benefit to the banks as we have rates rise.
Ignorance is bliss or not. Guys, thank you so much. We'll see you.